A very nice story. Let's go about the frog and the ox. Here, can you see? This story has been taken from class 7, and here it deals with a very beautiful moral. The frog is many times smaller than the ox, and here in the pond lived a frog. The frog is very boastful because it has never seen even larger animal than it itself. But one day the frog saw an ox. The ox was drinking water from the pond. And the frog was surprised. Hey, I'm the largest animal in this world. But this animal is much bigger than I am. Oh, don't worry. I must get even bigger than this ox. So the frog was boastful, was proud of itself. And the frog started talking to the ox. Hey, ox, do you think you're many times larger than I am? No, I can even be larger than you. The ox did not pay attention to the frog. Why should it? It shouldn't pay attention to the frog because a frog is nothing compared to the ox. So here is the story. So the frog continued talking to the ox, and it is an inferior complexity. The frog is much smaller, much tinier. That's why the frog was not tolerating the ox. And as it never saw any bigger animal than itself, it really became very much annoyed, became very much boastful, and it tried hard to get to the size or even bigger than the ox. So the frog continued blowing and it got more and more solemn. The frog became more and more solemn. It's trying its best to become as big as the ox or even bigger than the ox. And here you see the picture. It's got even bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And at one point, the frog burst into pieces. Nothing should be compared in that sense. A frog is small, but it's equally happy. The ox is much bigger, but it's as happy as the frog. You may be tinier, you may be larger, whatever. Doesn't matter. When you have a big body, you need a lot of nutrients, a lot of fat, a lot of carbohydrate, a lot of protein, right? Especially protein intake compared to your body mass. So the more protein you have, the more muscle you have, the more protein you need. So it doesn't matter. The frog can eat a little and is fine, but the ox can't be fine when the ox eats so little. So that's interesting. So let's go with the story. What does the book say? The frog and the ox. A big frog once lived in a small pond. Because he was the biggest creature in the pond, the frog decided he must also be the biggest thing in the world. As he sunned himself on his lily pad, he puffed out his chest with pride. No one anywhere is bigger than I am, he thought. One day, a huge ox came to drink at the pond. The frog was amazed, but he refused to be impressed. I suppose you think you are big, the frog called out to the ox. But I want you to know that I can make myself just as big as you are. The ox did not reply, he just kept on drinking. If you don't believe me, shouted the frog, just watch. The frog took a deep breath and blew himself up to twice his size, his usual size. But still, the ox paid no attention to him. So that's not big enough for you, croaked the frog. Very well, I'll make myself biggest still. bigger still. He blew himself up even larger. Again, the ox said nothing. He simply turned away and headed for the other side of the pond. He had had enough to drink. This made the frog furious. Taking an enormous breath, he blew and blew and blew himself up until he burst. And that was the end of the big frog in the small pond. Please subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.